Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Shout out to all my troopers out there. Hope all is well. I am your host, CueBracey, aka Tyrone Bracey. And today I want to talk to you guys about the childcare crisis. What is the childcare crisis? But before we get into it, man, make sure you like, share, subscribe. My goal is to get to 20,000 subscribers by December. It's a big goal, but I know we can do it. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Now, the childcare crisis. What is the childcare crisis? The childcare crisis is basically coming from two sides. One side of the childcare crisis is the actual childcare facility not being able to keep good workers and things of this nature. They're not able to keep good workers. The amount that they have to pay, government regulations on how many childcare workers they need per child, they just are not able to pay. So on one side, you have a supply issue. And then on the other side, you have a demand issue. Now, the demand issue is a latent issue. What do I mean by that? The demand issue is a issue that is made up by the enemy, right? The enemy wants your wife, wants the mother of your children to basically send her children off to daycare so she can go be a worker. That's what the enemy wants. And so the enemy is creating a latent need, a demand for child care services. So this is how we arrive at the child care crisis. Because we don't have the supply or the demand. Now, it would seem as if we don't have the supply or the demand. You would say, you know what? Let's just let that industry go down. But that's not what's happening. So this should be a red flag. This should be something that is alarming. This should be something that's cause for pause, that makes you think. So as you can see up here on the screen, I have some wise words from The Art of War. This is what it says. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. So the thing that I really want to focus on is knowing your enemy. Now, let's go back to Behold the Pale Horse and hear what Mr. Cooper had to say. To cling to the past is guaranteed suicide. To remain apathetic is ensured enslavement. To learn the truth and then act upon it is the only means of survival at this point. To shrug off the information contained in this book and to disregard his warnings will result in the complete destruction of the Republic of the United States of America. This is what I'm telling you too. You will never get a second warning or a second chance. Like it or not, that is it. Stark reality. You can no longer turn your head, ignore it, pretend it's not true, say it can't happen to me, run or hide. The wolf is at the door. Now, here we go. I fear for the little ones, the innocents, who are already paying for our mistakes. There exists a great army of occupationally orphaned children. They are attending government-controlled daycare centers. This is where I'm stopping at. And this is why I have an issue with the women. Because the women are feeding into the hands of the enemy. Now, it's okay if a woman wants to be out there working. That's her prerogative. But if you knew that you wanted to be out there working, you should have considered making a choice. Life is about sacrifices. And if you're not going to be there for your children, and you are going to be working, there's going to be a void there. And if you're going to create that level of void, you have to be able to justify that by making enough money to put your children in a position to where they are actually getting a better education. They are actually better off. If you are making this sacrifice as a mother and you are still sending your children to government-controlled daycares, then you're losing all the way around. And so I seen this pop up today, and obviously, once again, they want to come in, the government, Big Daddy government wants to come in and save women once again. But really, they're not saving women, but that's how it's being packaged. They want to save women once again by saying, hey, ladies, we are coming up with a bill for you where you can send your children to these daycares. Don't worry about it. The government will pay for it so you can get out there and work. So you can go out there and get that waitress job. So you can go out there and work at Dollar General. So you can work at Walmart. So you can keep this industrial, technological bull crap that's falling on his face every single day. So you can keep that system going. We're going to give you money for childcare. And so many women are looking at this as a blessing instead of looking at it as a curse and realizing that they just trying to march you in. They trying to march you right into the slaughterhouse and chop your head off with no remorse, with no fingerprints. They want to do it with no remorse and no fingerprints. They want to see you crumble and fall on your face, but when it happens, they don't want to be to blame. They want to say, I try to help you as much as I can help you. But really, all they did was stimulated their economy more by breaking up the household, having everybody out working. It's Marxism at its finest. And we know that in order for children to grow up to be healthy individuals, they need their mother and father. More times than not, children do better in a two-parent household. And so this is why we need to understand and know who our enemies are. Because our enemy is saying that our enemy, first and foremost, never is going to say something to you in a way that's going to make you not participate in the debauchery. The enemy is going to say it in a way that sounds good to you for you to kill your own self. That's how the enemy works. So the enemy is going to say it's a childcare crisis and we want to help women. But obviously, because we are red pill and we see the reality of these situations, we understand that there is no childcare crisis. If anybody were to declare a crisis, it would be the actual childcare providers who started the business. But there is no childcare crisis. What's happening is when things get real, people have to make choices about their life. And when things get real, some people are stuck in positions where no matter what their philosophies and ideologies were, they have to deal with the reality of, I don't make enough money. I lost my job during the pandemic. I can't go look for a job. I'm a single parent mother. I need help. That's the reality for a lot of women right now. The reality is that they don't have a man and they are walking hand in hand with the government. And for right now, the government does want you to go back to work. They need you to go back to work. That's Marxism. They built up their whole system on broken households and everybody working and giving them more money, pumping out their machines. At the same time this is happening, though, we have to understand that they're automating a lot of things. So a lot of jobs that would exist are no longer there because everything is going to automation, right? So you look at a blueberry farmer who used to need 10 employees to pick all those blueberries, they buy a machine, and this is happening everywhere. You look at a supermarket, and you look at all of the people that would have been scanning, checking people out. Those turned into self-checkout machines. So even though these are so you have an issue here where jobs are being replaced by machines, and you still have the issue of we need as many people working as we could possibly have working, or we to spend this money so we can continue to move forward with the new world order, with the domination. And so, like I said, man, that's pretty much the message for today. We gotta be able to hear and see through the BS and understand when something is being said. Usually, as a rule of thumb, whenever I hear the government talk about security and protection, as a rule of thumb, I already look at that as a situation of enslavement. And the problem that we have when we think about slavery is we think of slavery from the standpoint of hard power. We don't think of slavery from the standpoint of soft power. Hard power is obvious. It's whips. It's these type of things. Soft power is just like what they do to rats in the laboratory. I want to see how this rat will react if I don't feed it for a week. I want to see how it reacts if I feed it every single day. What if I give it this type of pellet instead of this type of pellet? What about when I introduce 5 females and 1 man? What about when I introduce all of these experiments are being done by the people in power? And in order for you to live a great life, you don't need those experiments to be done on you. It's very simple. Get a husband, get a husband and wife together, get 2 people married, have children, and play your position. Building wealth is so easy and simple, but because we want to be a part of every experiment, we like, oh, I'm the happy rat. I want to be a part of every pellet experiment. I want to be in there with 5 men. Then I want to be in there with 5 women. You want to be in every experiment. And you want to be in every experiment because you are trying to escape the misery. But the only way to escape the misery is by accepting the truth. You cannot escape misery by coming in with more lies. That's the problem that we have with false prophets. Instead of false prophets putting you in a position of simplicity, getting to the root of the problem, solving that problem, and turning the car around to go in the right direction, what the false prophet does is it says, no, just keep going in that direction, but learn to be a pickup artist. Keep going in that direction, but don't pay more than $30 for a date. Keep going in that direction, but don't do this, don't do that. Don't like but you still going in the same direction instead of just being like, no, nothing. And the more you go down that direction, the more miserable you become, because it's certain things that are innate, that are inherent in going down that direction. It's just certain things that are like that no matter what. A lot of women are finding that out, and they are a little disgruntled, but there comes a point, and this is very important. This was a point made in the husband store story. There is a point in which there is no turning back. This is the problem that we have with religion. One of the biggest issues with prosperity preachers is that prosperity preachers tell you that all you have to do is repent and God will forgive you and let you into the gates of heaven. Admit that Jesus Christ is your Savior. Whatever. That is the problem with that particular religion. Why? because you find yourself in a real world situation that does not lend value to what it is, that doesn't give you any value around what you want and God's mercy. Now you are 45 years old. You cannot have children. And if we look at 1,000 women and one of those women are able to have a child, do you still want to be a part of the statistic where it's a 95% chance that you can't have a child? But you went all the way down that road till you could not turn around anymore. This is what we have to be very careful about. When we put ourselves in lose-lose situations or win-lose situations, we have to look and ask ourselves, the best situation for you to be in is a win-win situation. But you have to ask yourself, if I take this win-lose situation and I drive it too far, will I end up not ever being able to win again in that particular arena? And the enemy wants you in a position of no return. The enemy does not want you to turn back. The problem with the false prophets is they do the work for the enemy without even knowing they doing the work for the enemy. That's the problem. And the people that should be accused get acquitted. And the people that are innocent are found guilty. So now, this is the childcare crisis. This is what we are facing in America when it comes to the traditional family structure. In the traditional family structure, we have to ask ourselves one very heartfelt question. Who is going to take care of the babies? And if you're reliant on the government to take care of your babies, especially when you're talking about kindergarten, formative years, then yes, we do have a crisis. But the crisis is that you are allowing your family structure to be broken down and you sending your children to government-controlled daycare centers. Anywho's, if you would like to support my work, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below, and we'll be back in here with more videos for y'all. Peace.